This is good combat. And now this is what bad combat looks like. Ew, get that out of here. Now, you might be wondering, what was that mess? Well, that was my game.
Boo! My eyes are hurting.
I can't believe what I'm seeing.
This makes me want to crash
so
out.
ugly. I know it's pretty bad. But it's fine, because the video I made on it only got like 12,000 views. What? So now, I need to make this a full game and completely revamp the entire combat. If you didn't see the original, the link is right here, but you really don't need to watch it. All I really did was make an attack and a parry. No AI, no effects, no nothing. It's pretty dull. So let's change that. I started by adding a spark effect following the tutorial by Visual SF Games, which already makes the game look a lot better already. But it's kind of hard to do when the enemy just stands there, so I guess it was time to make some AI. I started by adding a follow player with the AI move 2 node, but it really doesn't fit, especially with the parry-based system I was going for, so the player's pretty much screwed. So I made the enemies go up one at a time and okay, that's not what I was expecting to happen. So I then went to my last idea, which was following this tutorial by this guy to make a getnearestactorofclass. And I essentially set that enemy to be the target, and when the enemy detects that it's the target, it goes after the player. Now the enemy AI works pretty well, but if I want to make this game an open world experience, I probably don't want to send the player in only to be immediately attacked by swarms of, well, whatever these are. So I added this. Now, you may not know what this is, and I may or may not either, but it's called a pawn sensing, and it basically just senses pawns, so I guess that explanation was useless. But essentially what I'm going to do with it is detecting the player and then telling the player to make a new target, hence the AI that saw him. So now that the AI is working perfectly, let's continue advancing upon the combat. A lot of you guys recommended adding player feedback, which is basically just stuff like hit stop and camera shake. So I watched a video by Buvesa Game Development on how to make a basic camera shake custom event. And then I called the event during events like attack and being hit and parrying. And I even added to the finisher, which, by the way, the camera now follows the head, so you're welcome. I then was able to add a force variable, which made it so I can have a big shake when hit, but a smaller shake when attacking. Now the combat feels a lot better, but it still isn't that complicated, and there's no reason at all to move. Luckily, I have a couple of solutions. The first one being launching the enemy backwards when hit. This was done by launching the character in the direction the player was facing. I did have trouble getting the way the player was facing to affect the launch, but a quick video by none other than Gorka Games did the trick. This one small addition adds so much to the game just by making the player have to move in order to actually hit the enemy multiple times, but the next thing is so much better. So I added a 1 in 3 chance of the animation to play at half the speed, but do twice the damage. This was my heavy attack. I also made it so the attack was unblockable, so the player would have to dodge. But currently that doesn't exist, but I'll fix that later. But now I want to add some effects to the attack. So I followed a tutorial by this guy to make a ribbon effect using Niagara. Although, I don't think it was supposed to look like that. I think it's too big, but I actually like it. For some reason, it gives me Harry Potter vibes. I eventually was able to make the attack smaller, but I left it on the enemy and just used the smaller version of the ribbon effect on the player to add an attack trail, which turned out nicely. But now I need to make the dodge. So using the same code I used to launch the enemy, I made a dodge for the player. But it's a little hard to move your mouse fast enough to get out of the way, so I changed it to be the velocity of the player, so the direction the player was moving. All of this adds fun experience to the game combat-wise, but I don't think I can name very many games that take place in the middle of an abyss. And I can't use the old map, because if I ever wanted to make something of this game, I couldn't use Marketplace assets. So I had to make my own map. I started by following a tutorial by SmartPoly on how to make this sort of island shape, then another tutorial by this guy on how I can use texture paint, which, by the way, I made all the textures myself, although they're all just solid colors, but I painted multiple sections of the map with different shades of green. But because the textures are so bad, I watched a video by this guy on how to make a grass clump model, and then I used foliage paint to place it all around the map. The next thing I needed to add was tree. So I tried to model them myself, and, well, I guess you could call that a tree, although I don't think the leaves are supposed to look like that. Maybe this will fix it. I got it. What did I do? So I followed a tutorial by this guy, and oh my goodness, it's amazing. a 20-minute video showing me how to create these fluffy trees. Incredible. So now, I placed my enemies all in the map, and, well, my game runs at 2 frames per second. But that's okay, all I have to do is make an enemy spawner actor with a box collision, and spawn the actor, and apparently that didn't work. So with a lot of bug fixing in a video by FCBdev, I diagnosed the issue to be that I am spawning an actor from class and not an AI from class. So once I got that all started, everything fell into place. I'm really proud of how the combat is turning out, and I could totally turn this into a full game if this video gets anywhere near the range of 1,000 views. Probably adding an intro sequence with cutscenes and stuff, maybe even some bosses, who knows.